Welcome to Sister Sessions, a podcast where two sisters on very different journeys explore what it means to live spiritually in today's world. My sister, Jenny Fairbank, is the co-founder and spiritual director of Wisdom Pathways, a yoga and meditation teacher, and a somatic healer devoted to guiding others toward inner peace. And I'm Susie Gustin, a mom of three, producer and owner of Red City Live Entertainment, embracing life's joys while searching for deeper meaning. Together, we have honest, relatable conversations about finding balance, purpose, and connection in everyday life. So settle in. You are exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Sister Sessions. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sister Sessions podcast. I am Susie Gustin, and I am here with my co-host and my sister, Jenny Fairbank.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Jenny. Welcome back. We missed you last week.
I missed you. I was busy out in Texas working and doing, having a photo shoot and starting a podcast, another one, just a little something.
Just a little bit busy. Well, as those of you who are watching, you can see that we have a special guest in our studio today, and I am really excited. I have met Nicole, and just give me a second. Let me give you this introduction. Today on Sister Sessions, we are joined by someone whose story truly feels like a modern-day epic, Nicole Thurman. Nicole is the founder and CEO of Point Break Growth Partners, a human-first business advisory firm helping companies grow with intention, integrity, and heart. But beyond her impressive career, it's Nicole's life journey that will absolutely move you. Raised in a big, loud Southern family between Louisiana and Mississippi, Nicole has lived through it all, surviving a tragic car accident that changed her forever, losing everything in Hurricane Katrina, and devoting over a decade of her life to helping survivors of sexual exploitation and trafficking around the world. From Hawaii to Mozambique to Costa Rica, she's witnessed both the darkest and most miraculous sides of humanity. Her story is one of resilience, faith, and radical rebirth, from cults and corporate ladders to deep healing, true love, and spiritual awakening. Today, Nicole lives in Austin with her stunning wife, Karen, and their Basenji pup, Olive, as they prepare for their next adventure, a move to Hawaii to live more simply and intentionally, rooted in community and connection to the land. So today, please help us welcome to our studio, Nicole Thurman.
Hello.
Hello.
I mean, does anybody, when they hear that read back, you're like, is that really my life?
Well, I mean, there is so much, and so much like that. Not many times do I, get to read someone's bio, and my heart the whole time is just like getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and like, wow, like this is wild and awesome. So let's just start with the two of you. The two of you are very close friends. So let's share with our listeners how you two crazies know each other.
Well, Nikki, you share the story, because I think, I love hearing how you express it. And we are hands down soul sisters, and at the top level soul sisters can be. So you share. I want to hear what you want to say. First, thank you guys for having me. It is such an honor to just do this, right? How fun our podcast that we get to share with the world and whoever listens. So thank you guys. I love you both. Susie, you are a ray of sunshine. You need to come see me in Hawaii, stat, as soon as I get there.
Love this.
Yeah. So Jenny and I, so it's been about 10 years now. So I think 2016, I had just arrived in Austin. I won't go into the details of how I got to this wild little meetup, but essentially I met a stranger businessman while I was trying to get a serving job, any job. I just moved to Austin from Costa Rica and was just trying to make a dime, right? Coming out of the nonprofit world. And I'm in a room full of white collar men who all want to be the center of attention, of course. And it was a little weird meeting too. I'll just leave it that way. And of course, Jenny in the corner. If anybody's met Jenny, her presence is uh, very bright. She can say nothing and it captures a room. And she had this pixie cut and she's standing over in the corner. And I was like, whoop, not just because she was like one of the only other females, but we just knew we recognized each other. And I think we immediately chatted afterwards. And um, really, truly, the rest is history. She, to the day, is 10 years older than me. So I just turned 40, June 26th, and Jenny just turned 50. I know it's hard to believe. Um,
Really?
and yeah, we've just, throughout the past 10 years have just, we're just, gosh, how do you even describe the dynamic? I mean, I could say that I would rush to her in the midst of my crisis. She would hold me through whatever breakup or, my addiction, getting free of alcohol and all kinds of things. But also we just really, really love each other. We just sit and just talk about the deep and meaningful things. She's one that wants to know. I mean, she knows every detail to probably my life and tragedies and successes. And she's just been a guiding light in my life. And we have a lot of fun. We just, when you know someone, you know them. And I know this is a weird way to explain our dynamic, but Jenny, how would you? I mean,
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I just could cry thinking about how blessed I am to have you in my life as a sister and, someone who sees me, and not a lot of people do. At least I feel that not a lot of people do, and I can tell when someone does and see I'm already starting to cry. It's very easy for me to do that. Uh, as soon as we met, I felt the connection with you and that we were so similar in so many different ways, and that we share a birthday 10 years to the day is quite interesting in of itself. And then, you know, again, this that you see me for not just my humanness, but for who I am beyond this form. And that to me is everything when someone can see me. And then that you are vulnerable and willing to open up so easily and share from your heart what's going on, and I can hold that space, which is one of my favorite things to do for people, is hold space for them and to allow them to cry and be a mess, and that I can be trusted and to be that witness is so powerful for me. So you have allowed me to be myself fully, and that is a gift that I could never get anything better gift than that. I can never get a better gift than that. And of course, my sister, my blood sister Susie here is that to me as well. You two were both so important to me. I
Well, we love you too, Jenny.
yeah. And Susie, before we move, I have to just say this because there's so much here, but it's critical that I share. A lot's happened in my life recently, and I've always run to Jenny, and I just, Jenny is a strong rock for a lot of people, and she also sees me. But I will say, in my life, I there's very few people. I'm a strong personality and one to be reckoned with, and um, there's a lot of people I do feel like at times can take. And Jenny's one person that I can go to and just collapse. And I think in the same way, I don't feel seen by most people. A lot of people will say a lot. I often don't maybe let people see me working on that. But Jenny has always seen straight through my bullshit. Like, she's called it out, and I've invited her to, and she's let me learn a lot of lessons on my own, which are for me to learn, but, she's always like, "I know you'd come around from this," and so to this day, recently was married in July to the love of my life, Karen, and, we asked Jenny and Dave to be our officiants, and so they flew out to Kauai because it was really hard to fly to Kauai, and they married us, and now we have a really beautiful union, I feel like the 4 of us and this very sacred friendship, and we're spending Thanksgiving this year with them,
I
and
love that. I
yeah,
love
and well, come on, Susie, break away, bring the family. Let's
it.
all go to Cal.
Bring in everyone.
So, yeah, and I had the pleasure of Jenny and Stephen, her Wisdom Pathway partner. They asked me to come on board and help them. Help my company is helping them to do some development and some of the business structure to all the things that they have going on. So also get to serve them in that way too.
Wow.
So beautiful.
Wow. I mean, I say it on here all the time to all of our listeners, like the people that Jenny has in her life and she's been sharing with us here on this podcast, and it- it's been such a blessing and so much fun. I mean, I'm not going to take the fun out of it. Like, we there's emotions, there's all this stuff, but let's be honest, it's fun. It's fun to connect with people, and even though we're all three of us are in a different state right now, I feel the energy. We're all connected and it's so cool. And I know that people listening, we love them so much. We love our listeners. We're all connected, and it's it's just nice to learn people's stories and then connect with that. Be like, oh yeah, I get that. I've done that. I'm just not just me. So yeah, I really do appreciate that you're here to share your stories with us, because man, your stories are so unique and so powerful. And I will be honest, I would like you to start where you want to start. I don't want to say, hey, let's go here, let's go there. What do you want to share with our listeners about your path? I mean, you've talked to me about how you've been involved in helping with sex trafficking, and you had a near death experience, and you started a business, and I don't want to do a disservice and get it in the wrong order, or anything like, or forget anything. So, where do you think we should start here?
Wow. Has any guest ever just been given that mic?
Well, I heard that it wasn't a big problem for you. So
Let me talk, share. What are you talking about?
So I felt confident in that one.
Yeah, no, I can absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to share because I might start crying too. There's too much goodness in my life right now not to share how I got here.
Yeah.
Um, the gratefulness, the word grateful, I think we we don't use it enough in the right context, because being grateful means, you've experienced, everything. You go through suffering, you go through hardships, and I think it's learning to look around and be grateful in the moments despite everything, and letting go of the outcome. And I think maybe I'll start with where I'm at right now and kind of share. And, I know it's always wonderful for people to hear like about the other side and kind of what I went through my accident. And I think that that's a gift that I am able to offer people who may have not had that experience, or maybe suicidal, or maybe, very curious with the nature of the world right now, what's happening. Like, is this life worth living? And not to be dark, but I like to talk about real things. And I think maybe I'll just start.
Well, I don't even think that, I just want to say, I don't consider it dark. I consider it truth. And that's where you get to the joy, and that's where you get to
Yeah.
the lessons. So, I mean, it's truth.
Yeah. So I've been through a lot of trauma. I'm sure a lot of listeners can identify with that, and it looks different, and sometimes it looks the same. I grew up in a very big, loud family, like I said, and had a pretty rough father that really shaped all of our lives, my mother and my siblings and I. And you don't recognize how that shapes you until a lot later, sometimes in your mid therapy, and you're like, oh, that's why I'm the way I am. That's why this pain has been hidden in a corner. Um, but yeah, I finished school in the middle of, college. I had some rough years, so pursued, a law degree, and in the midst, my sophomore year of college, went through a horrific accident, which I'll be happy to explain. I'll actually come back to that, but going through that and passing on, to another realm and waking back up into this one, it really, at 19 years old, shaped, everything, everything, as much as, my my early years as a child, right? And, I think for a lot of years, I really fought to prove that it was worth living, that my life had to have some big magical purpose. And I think it is in the cellular makeup of our being to have purpose and a call, and why we arrive in this planet to do what we're to do. And
Mhm.
for those that have never taken time to sit and think about that, or even sit and respond to our soul's craving, and, you know, until we are in that path, like, we're not
Mhm.
gonna be okay.
Mhm.
So there are people that search, and there are people that numb, is kind of the way I like to say it.
Sure.
And I would say a lot of my life, I've been the searcher, to the point where, I lived in this hippie bus with a bunch of hippies and this cult I didn't realize was a cult, and I've chased all the spiritual things to the ends of the earth to try to understand, like, the meaning of life. And, um, I've as you mentioned, I worked in anti-human trafficking, sexual exploitation in Hawaii, and worked, with an organization based in Mozambique, lived in Costa Rica for several years doing the work there, all across the United States as well, and, um, adding to my trauma, of course. Over the years, um, I realized I was gay at 29. A lot of things were shaping kind of where I am today, and one of the things when I arrived in Austin in 2016, where I live now for the next month and a half, I guess, till I leave, um, I threw myself into work, and, grew up pretty, modest. I would say I didn't have a lot of means growing up, and so, you know, I wanted the stability, right? And so ended up, really finding myself in the corporate world here in Austin, and for about 10 years have been kind of climbing the success ladder, and have done well, in certain areas, like financially better than, I did prior. And um, everything started crashing down on me. And realized I had an addiction to alcohol, and I realized, I had very unhealthy dynamics in relationships because I hadn't really, you know, learned maybe some of those ways, and maybe there was a lot of the undealt with trauma, so we live out of a very unhealthy side of ourselves. And so, um, this year, everything really came crashing down for me. I went through some really rough injustices, um, being a female in the workplace, in a male-dominated environment can be not great sometimes, and, um, got to a point where I was at the end of my rope. I was at the end of my rope. I and not in a way that I would want to harm myself, but just I am completely at a loss. I have no more control. And Jenny, I'll just talk about Jenny for a moment. She stepped in, and, well, I ran to her, like, bleeding and crying, like, "I cannot figure this out. I don't know what's happening in my life." And she just kinda sat there looking at me like, "I've been waiting." She didn't say that. She would never say that. But I know her, and I know what I was fighting against, and it's surrender. And I talk about that because I think we are all fighting so hard and clenching to hang on to anything that feels stable, that somehow is gonna make us feel okay, that somehow can help us get to our soul's desire, even though we go this really weird way to get there. At least I do. I make it really hard on myself. Um, and I would say this year, my parents divorced after 53 years last year. My mother is ill with Parkinson's, and she's declining more rapid than any of us would like. Like I said, I went through some stuff in my career that nobody would ever want to go through. And, when you go through stuff like that, it's like, whether it's having dengue fever in Costa Rica and feeling like you're gonna die, whether it's being, chased by criminals in Hawaii, whether it's, going through stuff in the white collar workplace. No matter what you're going through, it's all an opportunity. It's all an opportunity to go inside and recognize, like, what's happening in me, and 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 I think it's in the response. And so I know I'm kind of talking around a lot of things. Like, for me, what do I turn to in the midst of those things, and where am I headed? And I think I'll just start by saying that, like, the most recent period of my life, I finally just gave up in a good way. I gave up my control.
Yes.
There's a book, and I think Susie, you've talked about this book, and Jenny introduced me to this book by Michael Singer, called The Surrender Experiment.
It's my favorite.
Um,
I love
it's
him. Love
same
that
here.
little man.
I love Michael Singer, and, he's known for The Untethered Soul,
Mhm.
which I didn't read first, I read second. And I think if we as society can let go of our control and realize that there is no such thing of pushing for an outcome. Like, life will happen. Nature happens without us intervening. Nature happens, right? There's things, births will happen. Like, we don't need a specific kind of doctor. I mean, I know death rates would be worse if we didn't, but like things happen naturally. And I think when we let go of that and allow ourselves to connect to
Hmm.
the divine that already has all the order, the divine that has everything, then it's a freedom that I think is what we're all searching for. And so kind of high level, I think, I know I didn't get into a lot of specifics there, but where I'm
Why
at
not?
now is, yeah, my wife and I are both in the flow. She just quit her job. 28 years she's been in leadership. And we are in a place of recognizing our call, which is to simplify and to live in the place that we feel called, and to serve the people we feel called to, which are for Karen, my wife, works with horses and kids with disabilities, and adults with disabilities and whoever. And I have visions beyond visions of wanting to help expose young people 18 to 21 who need to be launched, and maybe they haven't had a parental figure. Maybe they've come from the foster care system. Maybe,
God, I love this. I
yeah.
love
And
that.
so our desire is to be able to serve them and expose them to people that have different lives, people that have different professions, people that, work in different arenas, and maybe take them on an international trip. And the Hawaiian Islands, I have learned more from than any people group on the planet. And it's my duty to serve them back. And so we have no idea what's in store for us, but it's been a long journey for me and my wife both in our individual lives to where we are today. But I can say with every shred of confidence that this is the happiest period of my entire life. Yeah. It's not all perfect. I'm sleepless.
Well, yeah, that's no, yeah. I mean, come on, right? But that's amazing. So I do want to go back. That was great. But let's go back. Um, I want to talk about specific moments here. You found yourself at what age, and where were you living when you found yourself and you woke up one day and you were like, "Wait a minute, I think I'm in a cult."
You want
Tell
to
me,
know?
I want to know, where were you? How old were you? And let's go through this realization.
All right, I'll tell you exactly. So, yeah, this is good. And then I would like to talk about my accident too. So if
Of
we can save
course.
time, because it kind of
Oh
ties in a lot
gosh,
of the existence. But
we're
it
done.
was it was on the heels of surviving my car accident, um, that I was limping along. I had attempted to commit suicide because I just couldn't live with the night terrors and everything. And so, when they found that out, that's a whole story in of itself. When they found that out and got me away from my college town where I was, and they found me after popping a full bottle of Ambien sleeping pills and surviving that, I arrived back in my mom's hometown, this little bitty town in Mississippi, and I was just a zombie. And this sweet little lady in her town had this little art gallery, and she said, "Honey, you just need to get out." And, in a small town, everybody knows what happened. "Oh, that Thurman girl, what happened to her?" And so she invited me to just come work because I was poor and I needed money too. And my mom was like, always trying to like overtake care of me when I was just like, "I'm not okay. Leave me, give me space. I'm just trying to process like what just happened in my life." And so I went to work for this little lady, and she introduced me to her daughter, just because she could be a roommate, about an hour away. She's like, "I'll help you with your bills for a bit." And so me and this girl, my dear friend at the time named Stacy, we worked at Starbucks, as one does, and we found this little church. And I'll save the name of the church, just for whoever's listening. But there was this little church, and they were like, "Yeah, come on, we have a tight community." We were like, "Cool, yeah." We're like back to Nicole Searcher, right? I'm the one searching for the meaning of life, and we're digging into all the things. P.S. I grew up charismatic Christian, for all intents and purposes. So this church was Christian, allegedly, and we joined, and there were some weird things. There was, it was a small group of people, several families with a lot of kids, no windows on their building, but they really seemed to like want the deeper things. And they decided, hey, we're going to go up and be a part of the rainbow gathering. And so there were 12 of us, including the leader, who did not bring his wife and children. I'll just leave that out. I mean, I'll include that piece of information. we go up to live in the mountains of West Virginia for the Rainbow Gathering, where there's naked hippies running around, and A camp, which is alcohol camp. As you're walking in, we're driving in with this double-decker bus it's painted like wild. I'll find a picture. It's painted crazy, crazy art on the side. The front is a lion's face. It's a double-decker built of wood. And the 12 of us, do you remember The Real World back in the day? We all watched The Real World, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
at least we did.
Mm-hmm.
You never
Yeah.
watched it, Jenny.
Yeah.
Jenny, I don't know where
She
Susie,
doesn't
you watched it.
remember it. She did.
All right, The Real World. So we lived in this bus, right? They had bunk beds, all the things. We kind of peed outside, but nonetheless, we get up there. And, I wanted the simple things again, right? I liked that I bartered a Cocoa Belly necklace for an orange. We would swap granola bars in Trade Village. I still do. I love bartering. I love that world. But it started to get weird when the leader told us, he said, I think God's telling me that your names are going to be this. So he started wanting to rename us. Well, Jenny knows me. Susie, you know me enough. I'm pretty independent. So these other girls were like, yes. And all of a sudden he's like, I think everybody's supposed to quit their jobs. So there was like a family in this group who quit their jobs. They had children. They had student loan debt that were defaulting on loans. And they're like, no, God's going to provide. And they were, basically starting to run our lives. And by the end of that trip, I looked at my buddy Stacy and I said, nope, this is not for us. Like, this is not what we need to be a part of. This is weird. And in hindsight, my wife laughed. She's like, Nicole, you've probably been a part of multiple cults. And I was like, probably so, but all in good faith, all in good intention. I really was just searching for like the community aspect and the meaning of things.
Yeah.
So there's one of my cult stories.
One of your cult
I'm not
stories. So this was after you had your car accident.
Yeah. So clearly I'm searching, right? The meaning of life. Like, yeah, and I'm vulnerable, right? Think
So
about that when you hear these cult documentaries.
Yes.
So let's talk about the near-death experience, because we want to hear that.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
So, went to school in a private college in Mississippi, Mississippi College. And it was most kids that went were wealthier unless they had a scholarship. And we always left. I was the poor kid who drove this borrowed, broken down white Bronco, 1993 white Bronco. They called me Nicole Simpson around the campus, by the way. My best friends had Beamers and Jaguars and every other car. And here, but everybody wanted to ride in the white monster, right? So my best friend at the time, Lindsay, she and I were roommates. We met prior to going to school and just fell in love, talk about soul sisters. And then my other dear friend, I was in a sorority, but don't tell. Oops, we're on a podcast. It's out. I was in a sorority. And see, of course you were, Jenny. Here we are.
I was just about to out you, but you outed yourself.
Not ashamed. It was the only way to socialize in my college.
Well, and it's also like a cult, right?
It's weird.
I'm just kidding. It's so weird. That could be a whole episode, Susie. What paying for being a part of the group like that. But another dear friend named Beth was, I stayed in for her. She was the beauty queen, and she was, pre-med, and all of my friends' dads were doctors, and they lived this life. And I was like that other kid with a fun personality, right? And so it was one weekend. I was working about 4 jobs to make it, right? Buying books, all the things. So I worked for the financial aid office. I worked for an attorney. I worked for Mr. Bentley's Coffee House and Internet Cafe with a white shirt and a black tie. And it was one weekend. Lindsay was absolutely my soul sister. If you want to picture her, she looked like a mix between J-Lo and Lindsay Lohan. Beautiful inside and out. People adored her. She was like an untouchable person. Like, she was mysterious and out there. We were in a Christian school, and she pushed all limits. And we just had the most unusual relationship. And her boyfriend, Maxim, was a exchange student from Uzbekistan and had been in the States since he was 15, and he was now 20. Hadn't seen his family since. And one weekend they wanted to go home. Their parents had a beautiful place in Pascagoula, Mississippi, right on the water. And we wanted to go visit for my best friend Lindsay's younger brother's birthday. So my best friend Lindsay, her brother Josh, were twins. And Lindsay, Josh, Maxim, the boyfriend, also my pool partner, and Beth decided we're going to go home for the weekend and just as sophomores in college do, get away on mom's dime, right? So I hadn't planned to go. Last minute, I saw Lindsay in the quad and she was like, come on, come with us. And I decided to jump in the car. So we swapped seats and I jumped in the front seat. Maxim got in the back, her boyfriend, because they were fussing. Lindsay was driving. We were in an old Forerunner. Lindsay was driving. I was in the passenger seat. And in the back seat was Beth behind Lindsay, the driver. And then it was Maxim in the middle and Josh behind me. And we take off to go down. We're listening to, TLC and every other, 2003, 2004 group you can imagine. And we just barely get to the freeway. It was about a 4-hour drive home. And we just barely get to the freeway. And there was a fella who had broken down. And I'm going to tell some details just for all of those who are interested in this. It's very, very interesting the way things happen and the design of life and the
Mhm.
intention behind why things
Please
happen the way
do.
they do.
Yeah.
So we pull over because the guys were like, oh, let's help this fella with his broken down paint truck get it off the road. And so we pull over, and good old Southern boys and Max and me from Zach, and they jump out the car and they help this guy push it off the side of the road. We all sit there and watch them. And as they're getting back in, Maxim looked at Josh and said, no, man, you go ahead and get in. And so Maxim allowed Josh to get in the center seat, and Maxim got in the seat behind me in the passenger back seat. So we head down. We're having a great time. Um, you know, no substance abuse at all whatsoever. We were pretty straight edge kids, other than the casual drinking at a party, probably. And as we get close to their home, it was 7 o'clock on a Friday night. This is 2004. Um, Literally out of the blue, this car, so I-10 that runs along all of the US, right? So Biloxi area, Biloxi, Mississippi area. We're about an hour or so from our destination. And this car flies out of nowhere from behind us and tries to get in our lane. And we all start screaming because it was so abrupt and intense and fast. And Lindsay, the driver, is trying to miss the car. There's cars we were in the center lane. There was cars in the left lane. There was cars in the right. This car clearly didn't see us and was trying to merge into our lane at, 70 miles per hour. And so Lindsay jerks the car to the right and couldn't go anywhere because there was like a minivan right there. So she turned left and overcompensated. The car slid right in between us and a car in front of us and moves on. And by this point, we lose control of the vehicle and flip 4 times and hit the cement dividers on a freeway, the north south or east westbound, and we hit head on. And right as we were tumbling around this car, I could hear the guitar string slapping in the back. And, we're a bunch of kids, right? I'm 19 years old. And right as we hit, Lindsay throws her arm out in front of me, as you do like this. And I grab it. And right before we hit, my mind, if anybody's gone through any near death experience, you really do, your life flashes before your eyes. And my mind went to, oh my gosh, I'm dying. My parents don't even know I went out of town because I lived 2 hours from them. So I didn't check in to be like, hey, now I'm going on this little trip for the weekend. They don't know that I'm gone. I thought about this girl who was not in my sorority. And I was kind of rude to, or actually I won't say her name. Yeah, she was in a different sorority. And she was just kind of always wanting attention and just like kind of drove me crazy. I kind of attract clingers sometimes. And I was kind of a bitch to her, to be honest. And I felt regret. I felt, oh, Nick, why? And I saw this little boy when I was 7 years old. He lived across the street in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where we lived, and his name was Daniel. And I remember thinking, like, I never told him about, the divine. I never shared more with him that I could have. And I always knew I wanted to at 7 years old, right? And I felt regret. And I say regret, it's an interesting, yeah, it's that's probably another topic, but it definitely I felt a heaviness that, like, I wish I
Mhm,
would have done
mhm,
things different.
mhm.
I'm gonna back up right here for a moment and say that I had a dream. So this was September 10th. I had a dream that summer, that there were American terrorists. Okay, so follow this one for where we are today in the US. That there were men and women, but men driving around in these old Cadillacs and Caprices, these old cars and with machine guns, kind of gangster vibe, right? And they were in my little hometown of Picayune, Mississippi, and they were basically blowing everything up. My neighborhood at the time in this dream It was ablaze like Atlanta after the Civil War. Like everything was on fire and everything. I mean, it was total devastation, apocalyptic. And I remember running in my house and I remember trying to call the neighbor, like go to the neighbor's house and calling the cops, and the cops were in on it with them. Okay. And I ran into my family's living room and there was a man sitting there with a machine gun and my family was all lined up against the wall. And I stood there as they shot them all dead. And I ran out of the house and there was this like kind of swampy creek bed that ran behind our house. And I remember there's this little bitty bridge, like a little swamp and a little bridge over it. And I remember running out there trying to hide after witnessing my family was all gone. And I was face down in this like swamp infested, snake infested water. And I heard a voice. And so at the time of my life, at 18, 19 years, I guess 19 years old, I was really confused why God didn't change my father. My father was not a great man. He's still living, but he was awful to us. And I was so angry that he wouldn't change. And so I started believing that there's not a God. I'm just not going to believe. There's not anything more. It just is what it is. We die, our bodies go to the ground. There's nothing further deeper because I was so angry that, this source could change and didn't. And I remember laying in that water face down and I heard a voice say to me, "Will you still love me and trust me if everything's gone from you?" And I was like, "What? Like, what kind of God is this? You're trying to get at me and this is how you're trying to get me back? Are you joking? You're going to go kill my family and now you want me to just snuggle up to you? This is ridiculous." And so I say that dream. I remember sharing the dream with Lindsay and she was like, "Oh, Nick, don't worry. Like, I'm sure it was just like a pizza dream. Like, everything's going to be okay." And I was like, "All right. Yeah. Just weird dreams." Um, Fast forward back to the accident, right? We just hit. And as we're hitting, um, immediately I black out and go into this other realm. Okay. So remember the story I just shared, that dream in a moment. But as we hit, lights flashing before my eyes and we hit, and then I wake up in this other place. And um, in this other place, it was like you're ripped from one reality to another. Like there was no vague memory of what just happened. There was no even really awareness of my life in that way. It, whether I knew or didn't, it didn't matter. I was in this new realm. And this new realm, this is where it's at. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is it. Jenny's like, "I want to go, I want to go, I want to go." It was, it's, and I say this, there's tons of books on people who've gone through and maybe died and woke back up and I don't read them. It's very uncomfortable for me. I just like my story's my story. But the one thing that I'll say that's true is the light. And so I'll just give you the best way I can explain this in a human form because it's not humanly. I was essentially in this new realm where I was being moved and there was someone alongside me. Okay. And it was almost as if I was on a conveyor belt. Like I was no longer a physical being. The very first thing that I noticed was this insatiable light. This light was so intense that it wasn't, I'm sitting here in this office right now and the light shines on me, right? The light in this other realm, it absorbs you. It goes through you. It is part of you. It is you. And I was no physical being, but if I had been and I put my hand up, it would just come through. Like it was a whole different thing. And the way that light felt, um, I've tried to find the words to explain the feeling. So bear with me. I love sex. I'm just going to say it. Think about an orgasm that almost never ends, but you still arrive. It was so like my senses, the pleasure, all of it, but in the most pure way, the way it should be. And I'm being moved. And there was a transference. I was arriving somewhere. It was like I had no control, but I did, if that makes sense. I guess I had no control. I don't know that I did have control, but it wasn't like I needed to. I've never explained it this way, but I'm being moved somewhere. There's someone alongside me. And I can talk about who I think that might be, but I don't really know. I think it's part of the divine. And as I'm arriving at the forefront of whatever this is, and for those that grew up Christian or Catholic, like the pearly gates, there's when you arrive at the throne, whatever that is, I was about to arrive.
Okay.
And right as I get to that moment of like, here it is, the veil is opened. I wake up. I wake up and I am immediately back in the car. And the car landed. I was on the passenger side. The car landed um, where I was laying completely parallel to the ground, and Lindsay, the driver's side, was parallel to the sky, and she was hanging over me, bleeding, eyes dilated. Um, and the horn was stuck, and Alanis Morissette's "Hand in My Pocket" was playing, and I am
Mm.
just checking for us all, like pain in my leg. I couldn't see out my left eye. And I'm just trying to check everybody to see who's alive and who's around, and, this man walks over and he looks down in my through the driver's side window because I was at the passenger side, so if you can imagine, I know for those that are just listening and not watching, he's looking down through, and I looked up and he said, "Hey, are you okay?" Now let me just describe what this man looks like. This man looks like Mr. Clean. So if you know the old commercial, was Mr. Clean brawny? No, Mr. Clean was Mr. Clean, right? Yeah. He had a flannel shirt, bald head, 1 earring, and very strong. And this man looks down at me and he said, "Hey, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay." I try to wake Lindsay. She doesn't move. And he was like, "Can you climb out here?" And I said, "No." I mean, I was stuttering, right? I'm in total shock. My body is, yeah. He says, "Okay, look, meet me at the back of the car. I'm gonna help you." And so I was like, "Okay, okay, 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 okay," right? Stuttering. And so I stand up. Lindsay's unresponsive. She falls off of me. That took me a lot of years to get through, thinking that I harmed her worse by standing up and her hit, you know, which I've done therapy and I don't think there's any way I could have saved anybody. But I start coming through the car, and at the point I come through, and forgive me, I didn't ask this. Some of this is graphic. Is that okay to share? I don't know how much I should. I'll
Yeah,
try
we
to.
can just, for anyone listening, we just gave you a little bit of a head up on this one. So it's your choice whether you'd like to hit fast forward or stay tuned in. Go ahead.
Awesome. And I'll try to. I won't over rotate here on the graphics. That's stuck in my brain, but doesn't mean it should be on anybody's. So as I'm coming through the car, I see who I think is Josh stuck under the car across his rib cage. I didn't see his face because he was kind of half in the car and half out. And I am trying to get the car off of him, and I'm screaming, "Josh, Josh, Josh!" And the man at the very back, forerunners have that back window, and he's like, "Hey, come here." He said, "Maxim's going to be okay. Come here." And I was like, "Maxim? I thought it was Josh." Well, it was Maxim. So I get to the back of the car. The man picks me up like a baby, right? And he carries me to the cement wall so I could sit down. And when he did, I look over and I see, I'll save the graphics here. Maxim was dead on the scene. I saw him face up, and that's all I'll share there. But he was gone immediately. Josh was thrown, so Lindsay's twin brother was thrown about 10, I guess he was thrown about 20, 30 feet from the car. He looked like he was curled up in a little ball. I thought he might have been gone. And Beth was laying about 10 feet from the car, making noises that showed that her brain was very damaged and a lot of blood was shed. As he set me down and I saw all of this war zone and every car on the freeway had stopped, um, I dropped my head. And I heard that voice again say, "If everything's gone from you, will you still love me and trust me?" And I immediately was like, this is what that was about. Because sometimes, when you're young and you find safety in those friends, like that was my people, that was my quote unquote family. And yeah, and I realized that was the preparation for the dream was preparation for this. And so coming out of this, I'll just say, uh, high level, they chased down the girl who hit us. They took me and Beth to one hospital. She died 2 nights later. I'll save all the details there. Josh and Lindsay went to another hospital. Lindsay passed away. Josh and I were the sole survivors out of the 5 of us. And he doesn't remember anything, dear sweet brother of mine, but he is now a wonderful dentist in Charlotte, North Carolina. And, going through that, not just, had an eye patch for several months, the psychological war that I went through at 19 years old, it was horrendous. And, you know, there's no way you just wake up from that okay. Um, And so going through all of that, then Hurricane Katrina happened, so the courthouse blew away. They did find the girl who caused the accident, who was doing a drug deal from from Louisiana to Florida, driving illegally. We went through a
Oh,
very horrific
no.
trial. Where Yeah, she was locked up for, she got 8 counts of vehicular manslaughter, 65 years in prison. She got out on 14 years, but, um, it was it was by far what shaped every ounce of my life since.
How did you
And I think
start
for
to
a very long
rebuild?
time. Sorry,
How
say it
did
again?
how do you even begin rebuilding from something like that?
I don't know that you I don't know that there's something called rebuild, Susie. I think kind of like, I think for a long time I just existed. But I think to the point, like, this happened prior to, like, joining that cult or, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
becoming very attached to alcohol. And so you will find a way. Doesn't mean it's the best way. Doesn't mean that that way is gonna serve you for the rest of your life. Doesn't mean that that way won't kill you. But you will find a way to just get through. I mean, the human spirit is the strongest thing on the planet. There's nothing
Mhm,
stronger than the human spirit,
mhm.
and we all have it in us. I mean,
Yeah.
look, Jenny has a dear friend and now a dear friend of mine who went through, breast cancer. And I know a lot of people have gone through things, you know, very difficult things in their life. And it's like, how did you overcome that? You just do. You just keep going. And I think if we tap into those wells within us, right? And I think we all have that opportunity. And I think, I didn't do it the best way. I did it the only I mean, I think one of the things when people are like, how do you still smile? Like I have a lot of joy, I think a lot of people say, and I'm pretty fun loving. But, I've been through hell in a lot of ways. And I think sometimes you just keep going. You just keep going and you just don't give up, right? And I think I took this. I remember sitting, went back to college a week after, and it was such a joke. Like I had no care to study law. I was like, I'll never want to set foot in a courtroom again. And all I wanted was to understand the meaning of life. Like, why are we here? Why are human beings with souls and spirits and skin and flesh and emotions? Why are we here? And I searched very intensely for a long time. I mean, I'm still, hungry, as Jenny knows, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I think there's beauty from it too, though, right? Because not only just identifying with people who've gone through hard things, but it teaches you everything. It
Yeah.
teaches you.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that really cherishes life the way I do. I mean, that just really wildly loves. I mean, Jenny, every time I introduce you to someone online, right? Like for business meetings or whatever, like I can't not write 2 paragraphs to introduce because I love her and I love the other person so much. And I think there's just an appreciation and also noticing like, yeah, I've done well in my career. I've made some money. And so what? It doesn't none of that matters,
Yeah.
right? Like it's my wife, it's my mom, it's you guys, right? And I think that's where it really just it's perspective. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
I your story, I've heard it a few different times, and it's always so to touching and heartbreaking and tragic and all of it wrapped in one. But there's a part in here that I think is very vital to share, which is the Mr. Clean man, because there's another part of this around him. Yeah? Would you share that? Because to me, that's quite magic, and I have my own ideas about what that is, and I'd like to share that for you to share that with the audience.
yeah, of course, of course. So, Mr. Clean, I guess I first want to say for people who say that they're not spiritual and that there's not a spirit realm, they don't really believe in that, doesn't change that there is a
Truth.
spirit realm.
I feel
Like
I
you
just
can
said this
believe it or
sentence very
not.
recently. Yes.
Yeah. And so if you think about, I always say, like, if you take a yardstick, here's my phone, right? Well, let's put that side. It's kind of a gross right now. If this is a yardstick, we only see this much in the natural realm, right? This much is what we don't see. And Yeah, it's everything. It's most of it. And so I think if we slowed down enough and went inside, we would see what I'm about to share all the time.
Yes.
W- Mr. Clean was the first time that I recognized him, that I encountered him in the physical way that I remembered. And the wild thing was I've seen him since multiple times. So there's a couple different times. I lived in Hawaii not long after, I guess 2008, 9, but I was somewhere around 2010 or 11. I was at my dear, dear friend's house in Knoxville, living with them, fresh off the boat of my nonprofit work. And she's a nurse, and I went to pick her up from the hospital, and I was like, oh, let's stop and get Bluebell ice cream from the gas station. And so I ran in, and as I'm checking out, I see this man, and I immediately recognized him. He was just the guy that worked at the gas station. He looked like Mr. Clean. And he said, and in my head, I'm like, no, 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 it can't be the same guy. Like, no way. And he says to me, so follow this. Well, he goes, hey, how was Aiea? And I said, what? So Aiea, AIEA, is the little town I lived in Hawaii for several years. Well, nobody that doesn't live in Oahu knows Aiea, nor could you pronounce that. Any white person say Aiea, right? All vowels. And I immediately and his name tag said Buddy, if that's not cute and humorous. And I jetted out. And yeah, I've seen him quite several different moments. There's like 3 angelic presences or spirits, I don't know whatever you want to call them, beings that are here with me at all times. And one is massive and magnificent and strong and tough, and it's kind of my justice spirit that's always with me, right? Protecting and all the things. And then I have this like really hippie side, and I think her name's like April or Daisy or something like that. And she always has like a flower in her hair, and she's always sitting on the edge of my bed as I journal. And I know this is a little hokey for some of you out there, but like, this is my story. May have your own. But these are spirit beings that are with me. And then the other one, I think his name is Peter, and I don't mean Saint Peter. Who knows? Actually, I don't know. But this guy's name's Peter, and he's bald, and I've had other people tell me that they've seen this man with me in the spirit without knowing the story at all. And I'll only add to this because it is pretty wild and debunks a lot of any skepticism out there. But there is there is a ministry in Northern California, a Christian ministry, and one of the leader's daughters had a baby, a very traumatizing childbirth. And because she's kind of like, famous-ish, like I heard this story, I don't know her personally, but I heard the story, and she basically said that as she was about to lose her baby, this man appeared in the corner of the hospital room. And she said he looked like Mr. Clean. And she thinks he was a trauma angel, and the baby survived. Now, I don't know what any of this means. I don't know. Can you just ask for one of these? I don't know if it's already been defined. Don't ask me the whys, but it is what it is. And, it's pretty interesting.
That
Well,
to me is one of the greatest parts of the story. Your overall this trauma is that you were able to physically see and witness and physically be helped by what I very strongly feel is a guardian angel is one. There are so many spirit beings helping us on a regular basis, and yet we don't typically know it, see it, feel it all the time.
mhm,
Some people do, and there are tons of stories around these kinds of things.
mhm.
But I just love that he has shown up for you multiple times, just popped in and out, and just to kind of check on you and physically help you out of the car in a way, carry you over there. And then did he tell me how that last part happened, like when he puts you down on the cement thing, and then where did he go?
Disappear.
Exactly. You've got to shoot
Let
that.
me just explain something. Anybody that works in forensic stuff, anybody that's, knows anything about investigations around crime scenes, they find look, I've worked with law enforcement for a lot of years, right, in my trafficking world. They can find anything. They found people on that freeway that night that I was like, you found who? What? Where? Um, and I just found the transcript the other day as we've been moving. it wasn't the other day, it was several weeks ago. But I showed my wife and I was like, "This is the transcript of when I was talking to the detective." It was like, written down. And he was like, I was explaining who this was, and he's like, like, sorry, there's no one like that. And I said, you don't understand. Like, he's who got me out of the car. And they're like, there's no evidence of anybody like this. I'm really sorry. The brain does funny things. It plays tricks on us. I said, you are full of shit. Like, I was physically carried by this human
Yeah.
form. and, and to the point where this is so sad. This is God bless humanity and how we're all evolving at our different rates. But someone even stole, it was either, I'll have to ask Josh, it was either Maxim or Josh's identity in the midst of this car wreck. Like, I think it was the tow truck driver, stole their identity. I think it was Maxim because he was dead. And they stole the identity. They found that guy. They can find anybody for anything, and they could not find this man.
Yeah,
Wow.
because
I don't know.
When was the last
yeah,
time that you saw
that's
him?
so powerful.
Physically, I think it was 2000. Well, that's funny. I was at this house in California that I lived in for a while, and I always saw, uh, not in the same human form, but I would see his spirit in this one bedroom as I was turning the corner to my bedroom. I have roommates. So it was probably 2011, 12. But as Jenny knows, I've been, I think, spiritually sleeping for about a decade. I think I've taken a hiatus for many different reasons. They were all bad. But I took a break, and so I've not been awake and aware until pretty recently. So
You're back.
call me next week, and I'll tell you when we hung out again with Mr. Clean.
And when did you
Well, one
meet
of
your so go ahead, Jenny. Oh, I was going to ask you, when did you meet your wife, Karen?
Just over 4 years ago. So, yeah,
Did
I
she
was coming
awaken
out of her.
something in you?
Well, of course she did. Um, you know, that is interesting. What do you mean? Say more, Susie.
Well, I mean, you were saying that you were spiritually asleep. Do meeting somebody significant that becomes the love of your life, your wife, did that start to awaken something in you, or had you already started, or did it do you put anything into that connection of you awakening and meeting your wife, or do you think that that was just
Yeah, I think great question. I think the honest answer is I think some of the more recent tragedies, like I went through a really nasty breakup and I realized that I had a lot of undealt with trauma and I was turning to alcohol and work and everything else. And so I think that was really the start of my spiritual kind of reawakening, rebirth. Um, I would say the most beautiful thing has been that when Karen and I met, first and foremost, she saw me. So when Jenny talks about being seen, when I was just Karen and I were just friends, and coming out of my some hardship, I moved. She was just going to rent a room to me for a bit till I bought a house or did something else, and she left a card on the counter, and it said, uh, "What did it say?" It said, "You're a good human," and she was just an acquaintance, really, and she saw me, and I think sometimes this is why community is so powerful, whether it's a marriage or friendship or sistership. Like, we need one another, and she saw me, she reminded me of who I was because 'cause I'd forgotten.
Mhm.
So, in a lot of ways, yes, I guess is the answer, is it wasn't the thing that woke me up, but it did awaken me to myself, and I think in turn, she and I both have had just an explosive, spiritual, I don't even just growth. We've just both been so alive and awake and aware together that I think without her I don't think either of us, me without her without me, that we would be this far along on our journey and seeing our dreams actually happen now when I'm 40 years old. Like, we're getting to see all of our dreams come true right now. And I
Yeah,
think she absolutely has a lot to do with that. Mhm.
that's
no
beautiful.
doubt, for sure.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
man.
I
Your your whole journey is incredible. Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
I
we all
think
we all have a story, right?
yeah. Um it takes a really lot for me to get touched and feel a tear. But when you said about she reminded you of who you were, and because you think you forgot, right? Like there was that you know, you're a good human. And I just think that those words are so important. And it just reminded me, like, just this morning. So my 7-year-old, he's in first grade. He just got his report card and it was awesome. And there were in that grade, you get pluses and minuses on behavior. And he had all pluses except there were 2 minuses. And one was um, lack of self-control. And the other minus was doesn't follow instructions well. So while I'm telling him how great his report card was, yesterday, I was reminding him today of the dashes on his report card for not having those 2 things. And he was, can you explain this? What does that mean? And as I'm telling him, like she said that you don't, I'm hearing myself rem, re reignite into him that he does not have self-control and that he does not listen well. And I instantly stopped and I said, you know what? You forgot. You forgot that you have self-control and you forgot that you listen well. And that's all there is to it. You forgot.
That's right.
And so now you're going to go to school today and you're going to remind everyone that you have self-control and that you do listen well. And I think that when you said
right.
that she said that to you, it's so important, that we don't reiterate these negative things. And not that I'm not blaming the teacher, it's a protocol thing. And he, I'm sure obviously the behavior was that. But to say to him, to me, it was so important not to have him own that and to say, you just forgot who you are. So today you're going to remind everyone. Oh, yeah. She did a good thing for you.
And it is that simple. But Susie, it's that
Yes.
simple. I mean, we should learn from children, first of all. Can we just say that? We should all learn from
Oh,
children.
yeah.
Like, we are all just grown up. And I think, to that point, Jenny has talked about this, like, when it comes to our identity, like, a lot of times we subscribe or, our negative attributes or behaviors, we define ourselves by, or others define us by. And, whatever that is, like, for example, Jenny always, and I didn't realize this till I think we were hanging out last time and you were like, yeah, remember when we sat down at Bolden Creek Cafe and you just were like, I got to tell you all of my life story because otherwise you don't even know me. And I'm going to bring this back to your son, but like sometimes, like, when we don't remember who we are, we start living out of these other places, right? And we think that that's who we are. Like, this is my identity, is this tragedy, or this is my identity. I'm the funny guy. Like, I know enough about your son. He's the funny guy, right? Like, he's a ham, right? And so, you live out of that. But like, hey, you also are the get along guy. You also are the guy who can listen. You also are the guy who can remember this. And I think that's the beauty of community. We get to, whether it's a mom or a wife or a teacher or, a difficult relationship, it all can teach us.
Mm-hmm,
Yes,
mm-hmm,
absolutely, 100%. And not identifying with, really, especially over identifying or with any of those things. We are most importantly and foremost, we are divine souls having this experience. And yes, we assume a physical body that's either male or female, and we may have children or not, or we may have a spouse or not, we may have a job or not, but those are just experiences that
Yeah.
are extremely temporary.
Yeah.
They're not who we are. And when we leave this form, as you know, you're pure light.
Yeah.
You're pure
Yes.
divine. And you're
Yes.
an energy. That's what we are.
Yeah.
And
And
that,
if I go ahead.
go.
Well, I just said farewell to my therapist of 4 years who was a huge catalyst in my life change. So shout out to Julie Jones and Alignment Therapy. But I just recently went through an immersion. And if you don't know what a soul reset immersion is, Wisdom Pathways, Jenny and Steven's organization, basically you can go through 4 sessions. P.S. This is not an advertisement, but it is life-changing for myself and many people. So I went through an immersion and I was talking with Julie about this immersion experience I had. And she was like, awesome. So during the reading with Stephen, like, what was it that he saw? And like, I think she was trying to uncover like, my, almost like my new purpose in life and like where I'll arrive in 10, 20 years or whatever. And it was the funniest thing because I think I used to really live a life of like arrival. Like, what am I achieving? And I'm in corporate sales, right? Like I have a business, like everything is very much impact driven, outcome focused. That is why we do what we do. And, well, I do it a bit differently, very human first. But it was weird because I was like, here's my therapist who also is very much aligned with me and all the spiritual things that we talk about. And I just was like, I don't know. And I really don't care. And it was a weird place to be. I mean, yeah, we're moving to Hawaii. Do we have vision? Yes, we have vision. How could Nicole Thurman live without vision, or Karen? But it's different. I'm not attached to it. So if we get to Hawaii and my company goes sideways and the country goes sideways, more sideways, maybe upside down, like I'll learn how to fish. Whatever we have to do. But I don't, my goal in being, my purpose in being on this planet isn't to achieve something on this planet. It is absolutely to just be a light and love to other humans and with other humans.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a really profound moment for myself to recognize, like, I'm not defined by any of that, anymore.
No,
Like,
right.
I don't really know.
Absolutely. We're here to serve
Yeah.
in whatever way that comes to us and to serve. Whomever's in front of us, we
Right.
serve. We
Right.
love. It's that simple. Serve and love. Serve and love. Let go of the outcomes, let go of expectations, let go of all of it, and serve and love. And
Yep.
it's a very common statement in the yogic world of, forget about yourself and you'll be happy. Just serve and love. Give of yourself and you will receive everything that you need because the divine is working with us, through us, for us.
And there's no, I mean, if I can even speak to like anybody that's listening, like I have a for-profit business. Like I have a company like that helps people have revenue in their companies, right? Helps them develop keys. And people are, there's a lot of people that have done what I've done in my career that are like, it's all about arriving at, C-suite executives, blah, blah, blah. And I actually never wanted to create a company. Like that's truly, people are probably surprised because like I have entrepreneurial blood, but like I never wanted to do that. I was like, why would I ever want to do that? Like, I mean, do I like to make money? Sure. But like, that's a lot of work to build a company. And I just have not gone about this in a way that I probably thought I would have if I had, someone told me 10 years ago, like, hey, Nicole's going to build a sales advisory company. Like I would have never in a million years thought that like I would be so detached. Like I just did this because I'm like, well, people have asked for help and I know how to do this and it can provide for me and my wife. So I just, even with that, it's just, it's a profound moment to take a step back and recognize like, even that, if that was gone tomorrow, like, I don't care. I never actually set out to do this. And because of that, I have a full plate of clients right now. And they're
Exactly.
clients that I genuinely get excited to help because I
Yeah.
believe in what they're doing.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
that's everything. I mean, if people listening only take one thing away, please take that. Drop the 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 fight, the
Oh,
swimming upstream, the
surrender.
trying
Yeah.
so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Surrender.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I think all the time I'm like, man, I feel grateful that I surrendered at 40, or maybe it was 36, probably closer between 36 and 40, because my typical being, like I would, if someone, told me 10 years ago, like I would have finally surrendered probably at like 67, 82. I would have finally figured it out then. I feel grateful somehow that I've been able to surrender right now because I can already feel like I got half of my life left. This is fun.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
late, even if you
Well,
are 60, 70, 80.
Yeah. It's not never, ever too late. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Nikki. This was so lovely.
Cheers. Thank
Mm,
you.
yes. I mean,
This
so
is
it's awesome. Like it's inspirational. And I know that, gosh, just having everyone hear all of the things that you've gone through and the beautiful way that you came out on the other side, you know, you may not have felt that you did it with grace and belief, but it appears from our point of view that you did, you know, because you are who you are. It's pretty awesome. And I'm so excited for your next journey. I mean, this is a huge moment in your life. This is huge. Like, you are about to embark on a brand new
It is.
chapter. You just got married. How wonderful. Congratulations again. And it's all the unknown, which is so exciting. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're going into it
Can
with
I
an
just tell you
open.
how cool
Yeah, go ahead.
the unknown is so cool that someone in Maui, a dear friend of a friend, is giving us a very luscious, beautiful property for a year for free. And you just can't make this stuff up.
No, and
You
that's
just
just
can't
telling
make
you
it
right
up.
there that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's exactly what Jenny would say. Well, there's another sign.
In the flow, doors open. When you're in
Hmm.
the flow, doors open and it's smooth sailing. I mean, not that there aren't gonna be bumps in the road. I shouldn't, but it it just works because you're in the right path for yourself. You're on your
Right.
path.
And again, back to when there are bumps in the road, you look at them differently. Okay, this is
Yeah.
a redirect.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
You don't
thank
you
you
don't
for
find
this
yourself.
redirect. I don't know why, but I'm going to figure it out. Thank you for the redirect.
Yeah.
Well, I am going
Always.
to
Yeah.
redirect us to rapid fire questions. Fake music. Jenny, let's go. All right. First question. Morning ritual. First thing you do after waking up.
Kiss my wife, kiss my dog, brush my teeth. I can't do anything unless my teeth are clean. I can't breathe without clean teeth.
That go to comfort food.
Ooh. Probably coffee. Can that be a comfort food? Or lately it's been pho.
Yeah.
Vegan pho has been my hard, like I'm obsessed with vegan pho.
Still have never had it.
You're missing
We've
out.
talked about
I
this so
know
many.
why, but I haven't. Okay. Song that instantly lifts your spirit.
Easy. You're going to laugh. It's Whitney Houston and Kygo's Higher Love.
The
If you're long,
last the
I'll sing
last
it.
show that I produced, that was the curtain song.
It has gotten me through some of the darkest hours. I put that song on at full blast. You can't not feel encouraged.
Agree. Totally agree. It's amazing. One word your wife would use to describe you.
Oh my gosh, one word. I could have fun with this. She would probably say passionate.
Mm, mhm. Yeah, I could see that.
Favorite place you've ever lived.
Come on. Boy. Without without a blink of an eye, it feels like home. Yeah.
What's always in your travel bag?
Whoa. What's always in my travel bag? Too many trucker hats. I even have a little case. I probably bring 6 trucker hats with me everywhere, and then I'll wear my favorite too,
That's
every
so
time.
funny. I love that you have a case. It's
Yep.
smart. If
You can't bend them.
yeah. If you could have dinner with any three people, living or dead, who would they be?
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
3. This is like a wild question. I would have I wish I would have known my grandfather. My grandfather died while I was in the womb. He died, he worked on the atomic bomb and died of a brain cancer from the uranium. He worked on the Manhattan Project. It's where he met my grandmother, so I'm a product of the atomic bomb. So I would love to meet my grandfather. Uh, yeah, I would love to meet him, living or dead. Wow. Um, sorry, this one threw me. This is intense. I have a lot of pressure now. Meet for the first time, right? I would
No,
say,
no, no. Who do you want to have dinner with?
who I want to have dinner with.
Yes. Any three people, a dinner party. There's four of you. Who's dining with you? You, your grandfather, and who?
You have to have Jesus there. I
Okay.
mean, Jesus. And this one's going to be funny, but probably Fortune Feimster, because she is just a riot.
My gosh, I love that. That's a good answer. That's a
I'm
fun.
not kidding.
I
I
want to be
mean,
I want to be at that dinner.
yeah. How, you
Sounds
know,
really fun. That's a
probably
good.
we'll have a whole different answer tomorrow, but right now on the spot, this is my answer.
I love it.
We only live in the now, so that's all that matters, right?
True.
Okay. What's your personal definition of miracle?
Mm. I would say my personal definition of miracle is something that can't be explained by only science. It there is a realm that no one understands, and we're seeing the proof of the outcome that is absolutely unexplainable by the mind.
Very good.
Fantastic answer. What do you want the world to remember you for?
Love. I just want everybody I meet. People always think about their death because we're all kind of a little bit narcissistic, right? We think about would people miss me when I die? And I just would love to have a room full of people that were like comparing how I love them. Like that would be the greatest gift in the world, that people felt loved and seen, especially those who had never felt loved or seen. Got me crying.
Yeah, I'm with you, sister. 100%.
One word for where you are in life right now.
I mean, just at peace, content. Mhm. I'm present.
Beautiful.
That was awesome. That was one of my favorite rapid fires. Those were some great answers. Those were
Kind
some
of,
great answers.
kind of pressure builder here. I'm like, oh, fun though. Susie, you're phenomenal. Famous yet? Because I mean, Jenny, you too, ma'am.
No,
But
Susie's born for this.
yeah,
Susie's born for this. I say it all the time. She is the best host. I just sit here and absorb it all, and
it's fun.
doing my little things here and there. But she's the star. She's the star, and has been the star in my life, and always will be the star in my life. She is the spotlight, and I'm just over here being my little spirit self.
I do enjoy this and just entertaining in general. I do.
Yeah,
I love it. I always have. It's just probably been lifetimes of it.
yeah. You're a bright one, Susie. You're a bright one. And you have a humility that gives people a chance to be heard, and you genuinely care, and it's obvious. Thank you for allowing me to be seen through this.
Well, I appreciate those kind words very, very much. And I will ask that, is there anything you would like to leave our listeners with, Nicole, before we head out?
I mean, the only thing that just came rapid fire to my brain was, when you seek, you will find, but you have to seek. I've sought and I'm still seeking, but I just say seek. It's okay that it's not all at once that we understand, but seek. Don't get numb.
This episode is quite the gift. So, Jenny, what would you like to leave everyone with today?
Just love yourself first and foremost, and love everyone else, because when you love yourself, you're automatically loving everyone else, because we are one. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Jenny. And to everyone listening, like we say every week, we love you very much. We appreciate you. We are not just here for you, we're here for each other. And if you liked today's episode, please share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe so that you know what is coming up with us. And
Yeah,
go ahead, Jenny.
thank you. All is well.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Sister Sessions. During the episode, Frankie wanted to mention the nonprofit him and his wife Jen have started called Harvest of Hope Pittsburgh. They make and deliver Thanksgiving dinners to needy families and have plans on expanding their services. If you would like to donate or volunteer your time, please contact them via their website,
www.cucinavitalepgh.com or shoot them an email at info@cucinavitalepgh.com. In the meantime, please remember, meditation is the key to unlocking your inner peace. Namaste.